All right, first off, I'm still very new to Lazarus and some of the functions of Freepascal, but I've been trying to learn more, and one of the things I needed to learn was how to use hash tables or key value pairs or associative arrays. To me, they're all the same. Um, I've been using just standard arrays to do all the things I needed to do so far, but things are getting a little slow, so I've done some research and I did this video because I found a lot of confusing information and I thought I'd try to simplify what I found and what works in Free Pascal and Lazarus and what doesn't, and I'm not sure if it's a bug or not, but we'll reach that point in a few minutes. First of all, there's two. I've narrowed things down, and there's basically two things you need to figure out: either the TDictionary or the FPMap class. Figure out which one you're going to use because the TDictionary provides less functions but is simpler to use. So I'm going to start off with that. And one thing you'll notice is we're in Delphi mode here. And so this exists in Delphi as well, and it tries to replicate the functionality. And uh, and if you go through the code, we can see here that it's using generics, which is not one of the things I'm comfortable with, but this is the way this class works. So the key part is defined as string here, and the value part is defined as integer. These can be changed to something else, but I'm going to use string and integer for this example. So what we're going to do is just add three names and a value. So the key is the name and the integer is the value. And we're going to try and see if we can retrieve it from the hash table. So when I say hash table, I either mean TDictionary or FGMap, whatever we're using. So let's run this and see what happens. So I'm going to bring the console window on this side. So it says count 3 and equals 6. And so what we're doing here is we're adding all these values to the hash table. And then we're trying to modify the key named Nick. So we're changing that to 6. It's defined as 5 in the beginning, but we're changing it to 6. And we're looking up Nick again and seeing what value we get. And if we go back to our console output, it's 6. So it's the last thing we created. So let's just remove this last part here and see what value we get now. So now the value we get now is 5. And we can see that's the initial value. All right, so that's the way that works. It's very simple. And how about if we don't find that? Let's put some other name here that we're guaranteed not to find. Um, let's try Chuck. And if this works, it should tell us that it's not found. So let's compile and run again. And here we go. It says it's not found. So that's the basics of how the TDictionary class works. Now, if you notice, we're in Delphi mode here. So what happens if I remove this? Does it work differently? Well, let's find out because that's one of the things that I wanted to find out. Another hint is when you're looking up information for Freepascal or Lazarus, the online documentation for Freepascal and Lazarus is not that great. I mean, the programs themselves are excellent, but the documentation in some areas is a little lacking. So what I do is, if something exists in Delphi, I search for the Delphi documentation, and they have much better examples. And this is what I did with the TDictionaray. I looked up the example for Delphi, and I kind of made my own here, but it had better documentation. But I know this exists in Freepascal and Lazarus, so let's see if we don't compile in Delphi mode, see what happens. So we get this error, and it says generics without specialization cannot be used as a type. So this had me confused. I thought, oh, this just doesn't work. It's you probably have to just keep it in Delphi mode in order for that to work. But what it's saying is that we should put the keyword here, specialize. So let's try that again. Let's save it, try, and we moved on to this line now, and it tells us pretty much the same thing. So let's put specialize in front of that. And our program compiles and works. So let's put Nick. Well, let's put Joe here. See if it finds Joe. Okay, so n equals 10. Joe, yep, that's the value we set for Joe. Okay, so that works, but the syntax looks a little funny, and I don't know why exactly. I mean, the error tells us, you know, it gives a reason, but it just looks a little more confusing when you're not in Delphi mode. So I think for me, when I use this, I'll just put it back in Delphi mode and use it that way. But I thought I'd show that because you might run into the same error, and that had me going for a few minutes. Save it. Let's run again. And yes, it's working again. So let's jump to the next demo. Okay. So again, we're in Delphi mode, and besides just the standard types, you could put in your own class here. And if you look here, I've created 4 instances of custom class. My custom class doesn't have any methods. It just has some variables, weight, height, eyes for color of eyes. And so we're gonna add these properties to the dictionary. So again, I'm setting these values. First of all, I'm creating an instance of each one. Now, some of you may be thinking, why did you create 4 instances? I'll get to that, but let's just go through this first. And so for each instance, I'm creating, for each one, I'm creating an instance. So CC is our first instance, and I'm assigning all these values. And I'm adding the, my key is Nick, and the value is this custom class, and with these values. And we do the same with CC2, CC3, and we use CC4 to see if we can retrieve that data. And so it's the same as the other example, but now we're using the custom class here. So if it finds it, it should fill the CC4 with the values that we've put in any of these other classes. So let's try again searching for Nick, and if we do find him, we'll print out the weight, and it should be 150. So let's compile and run. and it's 150. So again, this works just like the previous example, except we're creating our custom class. Now I'm going to modify one of these just to show you how that's done. So I'm going to modify Nick and change the eyes to red. Let's print that out. So here we go, that worked. I didn't put a space in between the there we go. And so let's put a different name. Let's try Chuck again and see if it fails the same way. And not found. Okay. So let's remove all these and just use one instance of the class. To me, this should technically work. Okay, so this should compile, and if it works correctly, it should display blue for the eyes. All right, let's see what happens. Let me just further comment this here. Oh yeah. Okay, they're all the same now. And eyes blue. Okay. Let's try looking for Joe. And Joe, we have brown. That works. And let's try Rick. And Rick has green eyes. Good. All right, so let's modify now some values. So let's change Nick to have red eyes. And let's see if it finds him. And again, it works. So let's do the same for, let's modify Joe, make him have red eyes. And also his weight should be 205. Let's see if that works. Let's print that out as well. Okay, now this is where things I think were failing on me before. Hopefully they'll continue to fail, but I don't see why I have to create an instance each time. So only after the first, we should still work after all this. So let's see what happens next. Save. All right, that seems to be working still. And let's just comment this out. No, actually that failed. No, it actually worked. Okay, so let's comment that out. Run. And yeah, this is where it failed. So even though we modified the class, we didn't use the add or set value. So we should get blue for the eyes. And we're getting red. We're getting the last value was set here. So it's not keeping track of the values. Now, to me this looks like a bug, but I don't know enough about generics and classes to determine that it is. But if I do this, let's just change this custom class to just a regular record here. And in a record, we don't need to create an instance of it. And let's see if that works. So now the same program, I did not change anything here. And now we're getting a different result. We're getting blue for the eyes, and we're getting 150 for the weight. So it's not using the last values that were set to the record class. So there's a difference between using classes and records. So that's one of the things I found that I really can't explain, but if anybody out there has any ideas, point me to some information or comment below. And now finally, the last example. And we're going to use the FGMap. So this is very similar to TDictionaray, but there's a lot more here than TDictionaray. So if you do this, there's a lot more you can do with this. So if you're thinking about using either TDictionaray or FGMap, you might want to look at the advanced features of FGMap. Maybe there's something in there that you'll need. One thing I noticed that was different was that there's a sort option, and I'll go through that in the end. But let's try our demo again, and this time we'll just use simple integers again, but I'll show you some of the extra functions this has. So we get 5 for our result here. So I'm searching for Nick again, and the value we're getting back is stored in KV. We're printing out KV, and it's 5. So it's working as expected. And if I just hit enter now, I'm getting a list of all the keys. So if you look here, we're printing this out, and we're getting this. And if I hit enter again, Actually, I made a mistake there. It should be, oh, no, it's right. What I mean to do is put dictionary sort, and we should see what happens now. So again, I'm printing the keys, and I'm using the sort option now, and you'll notice they're sorted in alphabetical order. I can't find any other options to sort things differently or sort by the value option. But again, I'm new to this, and if somebody out there has any information, clue me in, because even the online documentation for FGMap doesn't include that there's even a sort option. I kind of figured this out by using the dictionary class and hitting the dot here. So if you hit dot, we can find that there is a sort option somewhere. There it is right here. All right, so we could also print the values, and they're stored in the data variable here. So let's run that again, and let's get rid of the sort. And there we go. So it prints the value out of each one. So that's a second way of grabbing the value. And again, we're doing this in Delphi mode, but if we get rid of that, it's the same again. You have to use the specialized keyword. I'm not going to do it here because I've done it enough times, but that's why I'm using Delphi mode again. Okay, and I think that's all I have. That's all I've learned so far. But if anybody out there has some good documentation on this kind of things, yeah, put it below. I'd like to learn a little more about it. The forums, the Freepascal Lazarus forums, there's a lot of confusing information. So I did look there, and I didn't find a lot of things useful. I did find a little bit of information that helped me get this far, but in terms of good, solid information, I haven't found any so far. So I think that's where will end this video. I will put a link to the demos I have here. They'll be on my GitHub, on my channel code repository. And that's it for now.